Welcome to the Dr. Remina Panjwani Show, where we're optimizing wellness together. I am your host, Dr. Remina. In today's episode, we're joined by Billy Dha Kidd, rapper, real estate investor, coach, author, and podcast host, whose journey from humble beginnings in El Salvador to achieving the American dream is nothing short of remarkable. Billy shares how he transformed challenges into opportunities, developed a resilient mindset, and embraced personal growth to fuel his success. We dive into how his early experiences shaped his perspective on health, wellness, and mental resilience, and the role holistic practices have played in his demanding lifestyle. From using music as a therapeutic outlet to building habits that support physical and mental well-being, Billy's story is an inspiring blueprint for turning adversity into achievement. Welcome back, everyone. I am so excited to bring you another amazing guest, my new friend, who is amazing and has so much to pour into y'all. So I want to introduce you to my new friend, Billy Dha Kidd. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited. We're going to have such a good conversation. I just know we probably will keep talking and we won't know that time is going.
I know every single time, every time I talk to you, I truly believe in just energies and you're just a ball full of it. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hey, our like frequencies, we attract and we spread it. That's exactly what it's about.
Let's go.
So you just came back from a 3-day fast and I saw you were cold plunging. Oh my goodness. You are talking, doing, and leading the things that you know are good for you to get to the next level.
Thank you.
Tell me, how are you feeling? How are you doing, my friend?
Thank you. No, there's so much to unfold with that question. So yesterday when we were texting, I told you, I'm like, you're getting me fresh off like this. So I run a mastermind. So the mastermind came from my book. So my book is called The Power of Being Uncomfortable. And so therefore my mastermind is called Get Uncomfortable Mastermind. And it's funny, that's, I hear that from all my I call them uncomfortables in the group. I hear it from all my uncomfortables that, that I always show them, right? Like I'm not just going to talk about it because you guys have to be careful. There's so many people nowadays with social media and stuff that are just faking the funk, and taking people's money. At the end of the day, like I don't need the money from the mastermind, which there is a fee because I also believe in value, right? Like you have to value something in order for you to pay for it. And because even like back then when I used to sell CDs, I used to, even if it was $1 that I would get from somebody, I would still sell it because it was value. They would at least pop it in like, well, damn, I paid $1, so let me throw it in at least, right? And then you could throw it away if you wanted to, right? But otherwise, it's easy to throw it away. And that keeps them accountable. They show up and they take advantage because they're paying the fee. So anyways, with that being said, it's funny because it was something I've been wanting to do. It's probably been a good 2-3 years, to be honest with you. That I wanted to do the fast. And I've been studying it, looking into it. And sure enough, our new member that just joined the mastermind, he did it all this past year. So he had all these amazing things that he was telling me. We also did a podcast. Shout out to Derek Green. So when he brought it up, I was like, you know what? Again, God brings people together for reasons and stuff. So I brought it up to him and then he's like, hey, well, I'm here if you want me to, maybe that's what, cause I invited him to join, my mastermind just as a guest. And then sure enough, I think based on our text calls, he's staying, he's actually going to become a member. But he coached us a little bit through it, on all the stuff that he knows because he's done it. And then to top it off, there's Gary Brecka out there, right? Like, Dana White, even just watching the little clips that are on YouTube from Dana White, like there's just information out there. It's just in order for you guys to go find it. Like that's really all I did. So anyways, 3 days. I feel like the third day was the hardest. I do 24-hour fasts, more than, probably almost every week, honestly. But the 3 days, I definitely, my mindset was tested a couple times, right? Like when my daughters are eating something and, my 13-year-old actually started doing it and I picked her up from school and then she's like, yeah, I'm hungry, Dad. They had my favorite pizza. I was like, wait, what? She's like, yeah, I'm doing the fast with you guys, the 3 days. So then at dinner, she's 13 years old. So I'm like, you know what, baby, you have to eat. I'm like, your body's still growing. I'm like, but 24 hours, like not a lot of teens can do that. I'm like, so she didn't want to eat. She was like, no, Dad, I want to do it with you guys.
Wow.
So I was like, I'm sorry, but she ate, because we made her. So that was also amazing. And then there's this snowfall effect that happens because now all my uncomfortables did it, right? Or most of them. There was a couple that chose not to. Obviously, it was optional. But then, we started doing, we talked about cold plunges. One of them said, okay, I call so-and-so out to do a cold plunge. And I didn't even get called out, Dr. Remina. I just dove in, man. The first day, I was like, I'm getting in this water just to prove, right, to the mastermind and most importantly to myself. So yeah, and then on top of that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go extra hard and do it each day that I'm on this fast, which honestly, I think it also helped to keep me up, in the mornings when I would do the cold plunges. It would kind of just wake me up. But yeah, there's so many health benefits. I'm just excited. I feel it. After 3 days, there's, I think what I was aiming for was more of the cells that die out, the cancerous cells or diseases. You're 70% less likely to get cancer after a fast, or obviously you have to do it not often, but regularly, we'll say. But yeah, there's so many benefits. And then to top it off, I lost some weight. I feel like I could tell my inflammation too. I'm easy, like it shows on my face right away. So I can definitely tell. I did a video. I'm going to put it on YouTube, a vlog. Just quick updates day by day, nothing crazy, just like a quick minute each day of what I was feeling, what I was going through. And I'll put it on YouTube here soon. But you could really see the last video I did yesterday on our way to go eat my first meal, that my face, like I could really see the inflammation. But there's just so many benefits. So yeah, that's where I'm 3 days in. Yesterday is when I had my first meal. Yeah, I'm just excited. Also, one of the members mentioned, now we're just so much stronger mentally. And that was my main thing, was to remind myself who I am, the discipline, because all that, guys, comes into play into what you want to do in life, whether it's business, a career, wherever it is that you want to do. It takes all that. You have to say no. So, like me saying no to food when I would see it or whatever, those are the choices that you have to say no to in business, because saying no is also part of the business. And matter of fact, there should be more no's a lot of times, right? Like once you're in the business, so you have to be disciplined enough to say that and have conversations with people, communication, right? But yeah, I'm just excited.
Yes, I see it. And I can't wait to even take you to the next level, like scientifically to hack that, because you're already doing the right moves to get your body reset. And yeah, I mean, scientifically, there's so many benefits. So yeah, I can't wait to like dive deep with you and take you to that next level and see what else, right?
Let's go. Love it.
Yeah. So you have come quite a way to be where you are today, and the way you look at life, and you're making change. But it wasn't always that way. You started also from humble beginnings. There's a quote that I love that you reference. It's Bert Hellinger, where the black sheeps in the family are actually its lions. And I feel like we definitely resonate on that. And I would love for you to tell us, how was your journey? I mean, you come from such like the background to where you started, you grew, and who you are today, how that shapes how you do business, how you have your mindset. I mean, just everything. Tell us about how you got here.
Yeah, so I know you're having your like the meetup that you're gonna have next month. Those of you who haven't, make sure you grab a ticket, because I'm excited. It's funny you bring this up, because every time I speak and I'm a guest somewhere, I always go back to like the immigrant mentality. I have a whole album called American Dream. It's actually back here. You can barely see it, but it's this first one here. I think there's a big thing when it comes to mental. So I'm originally from El Salvador. No running water, no electricity, like legit. It's funny. I just went back a few years ago for the first time, and now seeing a toilet in the house was crazy. Like the house that I grew up in, because we didn't have all that. And microwave. Like there's a lot of things that we take for granted in this beautiful nation. So when you have that mentality, you're taught early on to be grateful for what you have. And I don't take that for granted. Like everything that we built so far, all the stuff that we have, materialistic and the knowledge, like not just materialistic, but there's also the spirituality that I've learned, like all that. I don't take it lightly because of where I come from. So then at that point, I think that your mindset gets, it grows. Like you have no choice but to grow, because that's how I felt. Like, my mom, single mom, I never met my dad to this day. So single mom raising me, I've always been the man of the house, right? Like I have sisters, I have daughters, my wife, like it's all surrounded by females. That's a whole other thing, right? Like I'm the only male, figure around. So all that really made me grow up fast. And also I knew that there was more out there. As of right now, like I retired my wife already. My next step is I'm looking at my mom, like and whether I do it sooner or later, like she has no retirement plan anyways. So whether once she gets to that age, either way, I'm gonna be the one that I have to figure it out. But my goal is to do it way sooner than the 65 or whatever the typical is. So all that is because of the stuff that I went through as a kid. I think that that's why I do the stuff like the 72-day fast and all that, because you have to toughen up now, guys. Like nowadays, unfortunately, there's so many weak men out there and weak women at the end of the day. And this is not. That's not what's going to get you out there. Like nowadays, I mean, there's certain things that you can't say, without people getting mad or whatever. It's like, have an open mind. Like, let's get back to the basics, which, just even the whole, like, it's funny. I was just telling you about Derek Green, and he, with the cold plunge, he's never done one. And he was in the Marines for decades. And he told me that. He's like, dude, he's like, I've been in the Marines. People used to tell me there. He's like, and then I had a coach I met a few years ago that told me, yeah, you should do some cold plunges. And then here I am doing one now that I'm in your group. And the point is like that's the mentality that we are adapting, right? Like that those are the people that I'm surrounding myself with, is strong men and women that stand for something. And it comes from being strong from the beginning. Also, growing up in this country, like I said, I mean, you want hot water, you can go throw it in the microwave right away. You want to cook something, like my mom had to start a fire at that time. It was just like late 80s is when I was born, and then so you're talking early 90s. I was out there. It's like camp like fire. Those are the things that we take for granted in this beautiful nation, and I think it's time to get to those basics and know that, hey, it's funny, or even nowadays, like especially right now, I know you're going through the cold, like, the furnace goes out, because we out here in Nebraska, we have furnaces. I don't know about Texas, but in Nebraska, we have we have furnaces, and basically even that, like there's times where maybe that'll go out and some people are just crying right away, oh my God, it's 67 degrees or 70 degrees. And it's like, come on, man, like toughen up. So you have to have tough skin. At the end of the day, if you want to get into business, and I'm going to put it towards that, if you're not willing to put in 5+ years of bullshit, and I'm sorry, I don't know if you could cousin here or not, but I just like to say how it is. If you're not willing to go through the bullshit for 5 years, then don't even start. Sounds harsh. I get it. But otherwise, at that point, then just stay being lazy. And I'm going to say something crazy in your podcast, Dr. Remina, don't kick me out. But I think that the most laziest people out there are people that work 9 to 5. And they're the first ones to call people like me lazy, right? Because they see that we barely work, quote unquote. But if they only knew that, in order for you to do something like massive, it doesn't take a 9 to 5. My question is, what are you doing 5 to 9? That's the magic. 9 to 5. What are you doing 5 to 9? And you have to do that. You have to. There, you know, with my music, with everything I've done, like there were times I would stay up till 5 a.m, you know, from 8 a.m till 5 the next day. Like that's what it takes. So if you're not willing to do that, don't start. Now, if you're willing to go through all that, people laughing at you, doing go through all that, I promise you that there's going to be a rainbow at the end. And if you make it through the adversity, you're going to make it. I'm proud to say I'm proof of that. You know, that you're talking even just as a teen, you know, hanging out with the wrong crowd in the streets and stuff, like, you know, all that, like that was all adversity that I had to, you know, there's people that I knew that, you know, with guns and, you know, just doing crazy stuff. And thank God, like my music kept me busy, you know, at that time. So yeah, that I went through this whole rumble, but let's get it, baby. I'm here to.
Yes, of course. I mean, so much there. It's usually being an entrepreneur, you have to think differently. We just operate differently. And a system, a society that tells you stay in this box, and it doesn't have to be that way. So if you are the black sheep, that is really the lion. That's what it takes. And what I think we've realized is we're in the wrong room. We have to be in the right room with those go-getters, with the people that think outside of the box, because you don't want to work harder. You do want to work smarter. You want to be happy. And that's what makes you holistically functioning, right? Like you don't want to.
That's a portrait here. Those of you who are watching the video, it's a lion on my wall. I just took a picture and I'm just showing it. It's like right there just to remind me of that. Like you know, and it's a black lion to top it off. So, anyways, I just want to throw that out there, man. Because
that's true. You got to have a lion there, and it's a good reminder. And it goes back to every phase of life. And so, yeah, if you have an idea, you have a business, and the mindset, the habits, it's all discipline. It goes back to that, right? And breaking through that. Circling back, you said you found an outlet. So that goes back to how you apply your mindset today too, right? Your outlet was lyrical. It was through rapping. Now, so much came from that. I mean, the things that you write about, the things that you rap about, it's amazing. I don't hear many people, that talk about meditation, I mean, things that are uplifting and empowering. How did you go from being a kid getting lyrical with your music to being basically such a big hustler? And, you know, you're so impactful. How did you go from that lifestyle? Because being in the light, it could have gone either direction, right? But you are so successful, not only musically, but also in your business, in multiple facets. So how did that turn out and how?
Yeah. So, you know, the music at that time, if, you know, sometimes I go back to like my original songs that I put out, the first album that I put out, and, you know, you do hear gun lyrics in there, right? Like now, even at that time, I was already surrounding myself with good people. I think that's a big thing that would coach me, right? And be like, hey, you know, do you want to be international, or do you want to be a local rapper, or, you know, worst case scenario, something happens to you, right? So that I was always mindful of that. But, you know, when I first started recording, I was 16. So, you know, at that time, nobody could tell me nothing, right? Like I knew everything, right? But I always had an open mind. I always listened, and I would take action right away. I think that's the number one key, is take action in what you want to do. So my thing has been, with everything that I do, I want to be as authentic as possible, and I can only do that by being myself. And so any song that I have released or that I'm going to release, there was some kind of story that happened to me or somebody close to me that I went through with them. So therefore the song is right there. So definitely my music has grown with me. I think that if there's so many people out there, right? Like, oh, I'm never going to change, or, you know, they think that change is a bad thing. Like, but I'm here to tell you that if you don't change, then like literally it's as simple as a quote, like change will bring change. Like, those of you who are listening, hear that out. Change will bring change. So if you change now, you know, at that time, I think that anybody would be liars if they told me that money wasn't the motive, right? Like for you starting a business or trying to get somewhere in life. Now my mindset's not there anymore, and I could talk a little bit about that. But at that time, on top of the music, I thought, like, I'm like, man, I can make $1 million with this music stuff and change my mom's life, right? Like change the people around me's life. Now, if truly, I made a lot of money with music, but if I would have made $1 million like right at the very beginning, I honestly think that drugs or women or like something would have happened. I wouldn't be the same person. And so there goes why, like, for example, my podcast is called $1 Million Hustle, is because it's the person that you become to get to that milestone, which is a huge stone still to this day. Like, don't downplay it. Yes, inflation and all that, but becoming a millionaire is still a big milestone in this country. Now, also don't stay there because you're not going to get far either. Like a million will go fast too. But I think the $1 Million Hustle was based off of that, is who is the person that you need to become. So if you don't become it, then you're not going to have $1 million. And those are most people that have gotten it. So maybe they got it from like an inheritance, or, maybe they signed a deal. There's so many athletes that will get a deal and then all of a sudden they're broke. So many rappers that, like, the craziest thing, guys, is I'm one of the richest rappers out there. Like, like that's the mentality, right? Like, there's times where I see some rappers' net worth and I'm like, oh man, and then you see why, because they haven't grown. They haven't become better. And I truly believe. So then I changed it from, okay, I'm doing this for money, to, hey, you know what? Let me become a better person. And that's the biggest question you could ask yourself, is how can I become a better person? And at that time, you start finding ways. I started running, I started listening to podcasts, like all these different things that I started doing, and I started learning. And at that point, I became a better husband, right? A better father, a better person overall, role model. And then guess what, guys? When you change that to that, and it's hard, because I've been there, and trust me, every dollar, every penny counts. Like, I truly understand. So it is hard, but when you make that switch to that, then the money comes, I promise you. And for the last few years, I've just been operating from that mindset of abundance, and I'm a magnet. There's times where, I own a construction company, but I might give somebody else a job, just be like, no, dude, you go make your money. Like, I got so many other things going, you know what I mean? Just, but to give a good recommendation, there's so much money out there, guys. Like, look at it like the Niagara Falls. Like, go grab your bucket and go put it under that damn water. Like, there's so much water out there for all of us. I think we need to start collaborating instead of competing, but yeah, I think that's where that comes from, is who is the person that you need to become to be successful? Because if you don't become it, yes, you could win the lottery. There's little certain things that could happen to you, which is minimal, but it does happen out there. But most of those people end up with drugs. They end up doing crazy stuff. That's why they're on the news, because they didn't become the money, the financials that they gained. And you have to become, we'll call it a 7-figure person, is who you need to become before you earn it. And so once you become it, guys, like it's like I said, your mind's aligned. And so things just start flowing. You meet people, cool people like Dr. Remina. Like, here I am, with a doctor, right? Like that those are amazing things that wouldn't happen if I didn't become the person that I'm becoming. Also, it's a lifelong journey. Like, this doesn't, that's why even like with my mastermind, it's a forever thing. Like, you should always have coaches, or surrounding yourself with great people, because at the end of the day, you will never stop learning. Like, there's always something. Like, even here, like, every single time I do a podcast, which stay tuned for my podcast that I interviewed Dr. Remina, like, I'm excited for that, because I've learned stuff. There's always $1 million quote in there that I'm looking for, right? So
yes, and that is so true, because it's really not just about the currency, the money, the $1 million, right? It's about the habits, it's the mindset, it's operating in abundance. So it all goes into, of course, health, wealth, and worth, right? It's all in developing in that area. So you definitely mastered that. And of course, like you said, we're all growing, we're all still learning because of that growth mindset too. So, I mean, that's amazing what you have accomplished in helping other people now. So with that, you also, on your podcast too, you find people that have the discipline. And I believe, what is it, the 3% of the people that actually have that ability, that are actually making moves. And that's what it's about. When you get to this level of being successful, not only externally, but internally, it's these things that make a difference, and small steps that go a long way. So it's amazing that you have a group of people that you are impacting and mentoring. And of course, like you're being strategic about it. You're being intelligent about it to create the entrepreneurial portfolio. So it's not just focusing on one part of like getting your abundance. So that's amazing.
Thank you.
What I also want to talk to you about is your book, The Get Uncomfortable. Tell us about that. And of course, everything that you're doing. How did you come about writing that? And what's a takeaway?
So Power of Being Uncomfortable. It is out everywhere. Amazon, like you can find it everywhere. Walmart. I actually distributed it myself too. I think that's important. One lesson I want to throw out there. It's the hardest thing you could do, but there's no middleman. So own anything that you wrote, anything that you created. Make sure that you own it. My music, all mine, like it's under my label. My own label is the one who published the book. My label is the one who's doing the coaching stuff. Like, there's no middleman here. It is hard. It is extremely hard because it's easy, right? Like if you have a label backing you up and giving you all the money. But I think you could take that into any business, and I have no investors that gave me money to start a certain company or nothing. So we own real estate, construction company, lending company where we lend to other real estate investors. I forget how many things we do, coaching, and obviously my music, the entertainment side of it. But so the book was basically, what are 10 things 10 habits, we'll call them, simple habits. I wanted to keep it simple. Mm-hmm. After all the books that I've read, which are amazing, and obviously they changed my life, but the Get Uncomfortable is more like, let's take action. Like that's what I wanted to do, was like, as soon as you read a chapter and then as soon as you finish the book, you're going to go take action. And that's the feedback I've gotten from people. People went out and started businesses. They actually finally did the one trip that they've been talking about or thinking about, which take that trip, guys. The thing is, I hate this whole money thing of like, oh, I'm going to save money and not go to Starbucks. It's like, why? Like, why? You know what you need to do is generate more money. That's the problem. Generate more money. And that right there, guys, will solve all your problems. I promise you that. But because it, like, you get caught up in that, right? Like, oh, and trust me, at the very beginning, you have to, like, I did that. Like, I wouldn't buy shoes, or instead I would invest, by paying my engineer, by paying for production, right? For my music. But like, those were my first initial investments. And you have to do that. To this day, like, obviously you have to keep recycling and investing, but, you have to get to that point where it's like, no, I want to live good. I want to do the stuff that I'm meant to do. And honestly, it's a sin if you're not. So that's what the book is about, is really just, let's take action here. I'm going to give you guys like a quick lesson off the book, like even as simple as like when you're driving home from work, like take another route, get uncomfortable. We're so comfortable. Like, no, this is the streets that I take, right? Like, or even if wherever it is that you go every single day, or, you go often, take different routes, and that will do something to your brain. I talk about that even there when I did have my job. Like, I would take different routes, and just to, or if you go to that restaurant that you always go to, don't order the same thing, order something different, something new. Your mind will create literally chemicals when you're going through this, whether you like it or not. And here's the thing, guys, I promise you that it's going to be a fun story. There's some fun stories I tell in the book of stuff that I've done, and maybe I wouldn't do again, but I did them just to get uncomfortable, right? Like, the thing is, guys, that everybody's in a box. Even as blessed as I am right now, I'm still in a box. So it's always what's next. And don't get it twisted. Like, it doesn't mean not to be happy. No, there's a lot of gratitude here. I live in the moment. Like, I use my do not disturb on my phone. When I'm with you, I'm with you. I don't answer phone calls. Like, my phone, I guarantee you right now, Dr. Remina, like, I could even take it off, and I guarantee you I have at least 10 text messages, probably a few calls. But I get back to them, you know, with my time, right? But when you like live in the moment, so it doesn't mean for you to always strive and look for the next thing. Like, oh, I'm not gonna be happy until the next thing. That's not how it works. I was happy riding the bus with my mom in El Salvador. I was already a happy kid. But you're telling me that I could have a Mercedes or my brand new truck sitting in my garage right now. I'm gonna be happy too, like maybe a little happier. But it like the happiness doesn't dictate. It doesn't come from material stuff. It doesn't come from all that. If you're happy, if you get $1 million, we'll say, and you're broke right now, but you end up getting $1 million and you're not happy right now, you're not gonna be happy with $1 million either. So that's what the book is taking action. Little things that add up to the big stuff, you know, the big, massive stuff. Earlier you mentioned interior work and then the exterior work. You know, I truly believe that if you work within, you're going to make noise. And I just call that noise, whether it's like social media, you get out there, people love the stuff that you do and all that. All that's noise. You just need to stay focused in the stuff that you have in front of you. All that is just noise, good and bad. There's people talking smack, and then there's people that love your stuff. That all that comes with it. But if you stay focused, it doesn't matter. That's just noise. So yeah, power of being uncomfortable.
Oh my goodness, so true. And the power of being present, being uncomfortable, learning, and then just showing up authentically you. So good. So what's next for you?
So at this point in my life, so, you know, it's funny, the $1 million hustle, like that word is also, I'm very critical of that word because also, thank God nowadays, I built my businesses to where I can do this podcast right now, right? Like I don't have to, I own my businesses. The businesses don't own me. I think, when you build your business, make sure you build it that way. So I say that because, I'm just having fun now, Dr. Remina. Like my music, I'm getting ready to upgrade my equipment. So I'm going to be releasing more stuff. My podcast, honestly, the word is growth. Just keep growing, you know, in all aspects, all my businesses, myself, music, everything. And different investments. I'm actually Friday, I'm closing on a new investment that I'm going to make on a car wash, which is just, and again, you get to a level, guys, and this is how I live nowadays, and it's funny, is be lazy. Again, and I said the word hustle earlier, but be lazy. You get to a point where if you basically be lazy on how you move your businesses and everything, meaning you're buying your time back. Now it's not perfect. I'm not sitting telling you here that I'm on a cloud, and no, like there's always phone calls and stuff that I have to deal with, right? But that all comes with it. But learn how to do that because the hustle culture sometimes, you know, oh, no sleep, right? Like, and I did that. You have to do that. But also you get to a point where, so I'm gonna put in my life, like, thank God I don't have to hustle no more, right? And hustle meaning put in the work physically, right? Like, you know, when I first started my construction company, I had it to this day too, but you know, I would go and paint myself, right? Like my investments, like real estate stuff, like. But nowadays, I've put them to where I don't have to do the things that I don't want to do. Now, I'm working smarter. So just really just that, I think that's the answer is growth, growing every single aspect. Definitely first myself, because it all comes from me first. If I grow, then my businesses will grow, and then my family will also grow, and everybody around me, the groups, and even through social media, you know, all that. I think that, when you have a light that God gives you, you can't take it lightly, right? Like listen to that closely. When God gives you a light, don't take it lightly, because and also, guys, everybody gets a light. Everybody gets a light. It's a matter of like, are you gonna actually grab it and go do something with it, or are you gonna be disrespectful and not run with it? So.
Oh, that's so true. And it all really comes back to you can't get time back. And you do have a light, and all we do it for is the people that we love, including ourselves. Of course, friends, family, whether they're genetically our family or not, but they become family. So it's all about that. So if you work hard, you hustle hard until you don't have to anymore. That's what it comes down to.
Boom.
So I love it.
And that's how you build an empire right there. I just gave you guys the game of how to build an empire.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. And you got That is exactly what you do. You got to build an empire. You got to starts with the thought, the discipline, the habits, and then break away.
Love it.
So, Billy, how can people find you? How can they work with you?
Yeah, so the easiest spot is probably billythekidd.com, my website. DHAKIDD. I spell it differently just to be myself and be authentic. That is my real name, is Billy. But billythekidd.com, and then Instagram. I'm still on Facebook and all that. I think that's a whole other subject, but social media wise, like, you have to be everywhere, if you're doing businesses. But that's where you could find me. Instagram at Billy the Kidd, YouTube at Billy the Kidd.
Amazing. Well, this has been so much fun. I can't wait to talk more and do amazing things. You're going to also be part of the New Medicine Virtual Summit. So excited for that. Glad to have you and talk some more. I'm so thrilled about how our paths have crossed and building together. I love it. Thank you so much.
Same. No, thank you for everything that you do. Health is wealth, guys. Like, there's so many people that, me included at the beginning, like I said, the hustle culture will tell you don't sleep, and sleep is good for you. Mm-hmm. Don't eat, right? Which maybe that one's good, but after a few days, you probably need to eat the right stuff. You're hustling so hard that you're eating fast food or junk. Like, so that's why I love what you do, because I think it's extremely important. People will take I'm sure, you've heard that before, where, people will give their health away to make money, and then when they have money, then they will give their money away to get health back, and that's not how it works. So
we don't want to do that. We want to be proactive. Yep,
exactly. Love it.
Amazing. Well, I hope you have an amazing rest of the day. Well, awesome talking to you. Have an amazing day, my friend.
Thank you. You too.
If you enjoyed today's show, share with your friends and family, and of course subscribe. Thank you so much for your support.